Hello and welcome to this extra special bonus episode that wraps us all up for the year.
Wow.
Yeah! It's me, Andrew and Bree, and today we are joined by, you've heard the name a bunch of times, it's probably one of the first times you're hearing the voice, it's Juliet Antonio, our keeper of the cheese!
The cheese
Hi,
keeper.
everyone. Woo, I have arrived. I have come from my cheesy lair to visit you and bring you gifts.
Hell yeah.
Excellent. It
Now
better
what
be
are we doing
cheese.
today?
So, you asked me, I think about maybe a couple of months ago at this point, if I could come up with a top 10 list of the top musicals with cheese episodes of all time, plus a list of the best cheese ratings of all time.
Ooh.
And this was a lot. If you're listening to this and you're wondering, where's my favorite episode? Absolutely no worries. You can do what I did, listen to all 169 episodes of this show and create your own top 10 list and DM it to me on Twitter. I will gladly read it.
I do want to
wow.
put the caveat on it right now.
Mhm.
While this will be coming out after episodes 70 and 71, which I believe are the Little Match Girl and West Side Story, they might be the best episodes ever or the worst episodes ever. They're just not included yet because of timing reasons.
Yes.
Absolutely
And
no worries.
I feel like I had one more caveat to say, but now I got brain dead. Sorry to interrupt. All right.
That's all right.
Thanks.
That's okay.
Thank you, Jess. Very productive.
All right. So this was, I tried to create like a little bit of a balance. I wanted equal episodes where it's just you two guys having fun, shooting the shit, and equal parts of constructive criticism. So I looked back through the spreadsheet, tried to remember what I could, and these are the results that we have. So, Andrew, Bree, and Jess, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
But
Yes.
first, I want to see if Andrew has any predictions of what he might think is number one.
Oh, I want to hear this.
Oh, good Lord. I don't know. I would put our Dear Evan Hansen episodes up there, so I'm hoping to see those on the list.
What about you,
Um,
Bree?
Oh God. I'm trying to think. You know, I listen to a lot of them too. I think at this point I've listened to what 71 episodes.
71.
Wow.
Wow.
Go me.
I mean,
me.
Juliet's got you top tier with like 171.
True.
Just
True.
listen to the 100 worst episodes, though.
I'm trying to think like, what's up there. I really liked your guys' a Christmas Carol. I
A
think
Christmas
that's one-
Story. Is
A
the one
Christmas
you mean.
Story. I really liked a Christmas Story.
Okay, yeah.
And then I mean Tarzan was pretty good that we did the other week.
yeah.
Just what do you put up there?
Yeah,
You're the
what do
you're
you
the
got?
head
What about you?
ringmaster here.
I don't know. Probably one of my favorites, and it's no one else's favorite, is the time you and I reenacted A Christmas Carol, but no one.
That's what I thought Brie was referring to when she said Christmas Carol. I was like, oh, deep cut. Nice.
No, that's my deep cut. We're putting it out next week as a bonus just to get it out there. And I did a new edit of it, a new mix of it. It's still probably one of my favorite things I've ever
He
done.
edited out all of his own jokes. He told me.
I did.
Why haven't I seen this yet? Please send it to me.
I
my
will.
God.
I will. But Juliet, the ball's in your court.
All right, but I'm going to say that's going to be a new Christmas tradition in my household. I'm going to force everyone to listen to this version of Christmas Carol and that version only. That and the Muppets.
It's so fun. I love it.
All right, so let's get things started. So number 10, people I think are going to go, what? But when I explain, I think you'll see why. So number 10 for top 10 episodes of musicals with cheese is episode number 58, Jekyll and Hyde.
Really?
There's a reason that I listed this. Okay.
Okay.
So it's a great episode for just joking around, but I include it because we get to learn about Frank Wildhorn's place in Broadway history, how fans versus critics respond to his shows, and why he writes songs the way he does. Because I didn't know that he got started in just writing pop music. I knew he wrote one song for Whitney Houston, but I didn't know how long his career in that was. And I also like this episode because we get into guilty pleasure theater and how it's not necessarily a bad thing while still being able to critique it.
I agree. I remember absolutely nothing from this episode, Andrew. Do you
I
remember
remember
anything?
not liking the show very much, but I do remember that the episode was decent and I think it was well received.
I remember
it
it
came
being
out.
one of the few good ones because we were just so stressed that entire Halloween season. We were just trying to
Aw.
get as many Halloween episodes out there. Like, I just feel like that was the only good one out of that bunch.
Yeah.
I think that was also the first episode that Mina Maniri suggested that you cover, or am I wrong with that? I think she suggests Wildhorn's pieces a lot.
She suggested Wildhorn's pieces, but I think I tricked her a little bit. She originally was gonna ask us to cover Jekyll and Hyde, and I was like, hold off on that. It's already being recorded, so pick another one.
Gotcha.
So I kind of framed it as if it was, but I didn't want to charge her for it since it was already on our schedule.
This episode also made it onto my my list because the only version of Jekyll and Hyde I'd seen before this was the David Hasselhoff version, which I watched years and years ago.
Right.
Classic.
And I think I just forgot most of it, but this episode is the sole reason why I have Murder on my musical theater playlist because of Jess's dramatic reading. And I was like, that's no way those are the real lyrics. It was like when I listened to the Diana episode, I was like, there is no way in hell that those lyrics are real. But oh, they are. And they are sung with glorious operatic style. I was like, mwah, perfect. I am adding that to my playlist. So that's why it's on there.
But if you ever get a chance, check out the new rendition of it for the Konstantin Maroulis version, where they made it even worse.
Yeah. You know, I feel bad because, like, my mom kind of became a fan of Konstantin Maroulis. She was like, I kind of like his voice, but at the same time, I don't. And I can't figure out why. And so she was sending this to all these people. And I think with Konstantin Maroulis, it's like sometimes he misses the note. Either he overshoots it or he undershoots it. And with Jekyll and Hyde, it's like, you know, he has the rock voice, but I don't think that he could do the duality really well. And also, the projections, are they really as bad as I think they are in my head?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
As someone that saw it live, yeah.
Oh god. See, the original staging was fine. One of the problems with Jekyll and Hyde wasn't the staging. They had a good
I don't know,
set, it was
Andrew
fine.
hated the staging.
Oh, like oh really? Oh yeah, you
I thought
did.
it was very bland.
All right.
All right,
what's
we got to
number
move
9?
on. Number 9.
All right, number 9. Number 9 is episode 104, Phantom, an American musical sensation with Angelina Meehan. In my opinion, the best of the Phantom episodes as a fan. And we make a great comparison, which I never thought of. Jerry Herman's Phantom of the Opera. I heard that and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It does feel like if he wrote Phantom. And we dive into how this musical found its place in the Phantom cinematic universe, why some people refer to ALW and others don't. And we have the best improvised recap of a musical theater piece I have ever heard in my life. I could not breathe from laughing. I was like, perfect. If you ever want a summary of the Yeston Copa Phantom, go listen to that episode.
I don't even remember what how we summarized it.
You played the dad. And,
You were Carrier.
Excellent.
And Angelina was Christine, and she nailed it. I love Angelina. We should have her on again.
Oh yeah, Angelina Meehan was a great guest, and when she came on for Great Comet as well. But I don't know. I just feel like this episode had like a little bit of the edge, and I don't know if I should. I'm gonna ask this because it's like the Phantom universe is very deep, and I know that there's a couple more musical adaptations. There's 3 that I can think of. Are you going to cover those, or are you just done with the Phantom universe at this point? Because if you were, I wouldn't blame you. It's fine.
I mean, can we really not talk about Phantom of the Paradise? Like, that one's great.
Oh no, Phantom of the Paradise is fine, but I was thinking of like, oh my God, Andrew's got to sit through Ken Hill and David Staller and the dinner theater one where the Phantom has a long blonde wig and it looks really weird.
I think we're more likely going to cover the Goosebumps Phantom of the Auditorium than any of those.
Oh yeah, okay, good. Because if Andrew has to sit through David Staller, I'm like,
we did
no.
cover the horror movie one as well, which I like.
Robert Englund, that's on Patreon.
Yeah, you did.
That's on Patreon. That was a really good
really
good
That must
watch.
be fun.
I think we'd probably do a Patreon thing for David Staller. It's like an hour and 14 minutes. Like, it's real short.
Oh wow, it must feel long though, because like I've seen the clips from that and went, oof.
It's
Yikes.
oof, but it's so short. Like, it was rushed together just to mark it off Android Weber.
Who cares?
It's
Yeah,
fun for that reason.
I guess. All right, so number 8. What? Oh yeah, number 8. So number 8 is episode 62, Hello Dolly with Adam Wachter. So
Really?
You're picking the weird ones. Like, I was not expecting these ones. I'm very happy
Hello,
though.
Dolly.
well, we're gonna get into like the ones that I think you're gonna be expecting a little bit
Okay.
later. They're higher up on the list. So
I mean, this is a good episode, but
yeah. So my reasoning for this is it's my favorite of the Adam Wachter episodes, and it's the first legit Jerry Herman episode. I say that having referenced him earlier, but it was the first time he covered Jerry Herman. And what I love about this episode is how we point out the things you love about Hello Dolly as well, you giving your critiques across various versions of this musical, from the Carol Channing original to the Barbra Streisand film to the Bette Midler revival / the tour, because I think Adam said that he saw the tour with Betty Buckley, which must have been incredible. And Adam was also perfect for this episode because I feel like this is the one where he vibes with all of you the best, because all three of you are talking about a musical you all really have fun watching. And we have the unique possession of the two of you, Jess and Andrew, being the sort of newbies, because Jess, I think you said you hadn't watched Hello Dolly yet at this point, and it's the guest that provides the great insight and analysis. And of course, I thought I'd mention this as a tribute to Adam's friend Austin, who also loved Hello Dolly.
Oh my, that was so funny, and he was such a sport for being willing to joke about that so much.
Oh my god, that was just like, oh, this is cute, his friend. And then Adam's like, and then he died the year later, and I went, oh dear,
because it came up so naturally. Because I was like, hey, did Austin turn out to be gay too? And then he was like, I don't know, he died a year later, and I was like, oh no.
What a great moment.
Well, then he also joked about Austin really loving I Put My Hand in There.
Yeah, then we made jokes about fisting, and it was great.
Yeah, it was great.
Classy,
better
guys.
We were a very classy show, Bree. We're on the Broadway Podcast Network now. We can't be pulling shit like that.
Extremely classy.
I'm drinking out of a plastic cup. That's as classy as you get here, folks.
I mean, come on. How do you name a song I Put My Hand in There and then not make jokes about fisting?
Yeah. And then we also got into because this actually tied back to episode 0, your Tony episode, where you got to watch David Hyde Pierce perform I Put a Penny in My Pocket. And I never knew, because they only did like a snippet of it, that song references him possibly murdering his wife. So now I can't look at Horace Vandergelder the same way ever again.
Well, I think I brought that up and no one else agreed with me. Nobody agreed with me on that episode. They're like, nah, Jess, you're reading too far into this.
No, because if he says that he murdered his wife with a long, awkward pause, it's like, oh yeah? How'd she die, Horace? How? Tell us, please. But then he just moves past it like nothing happened. I'm like, I think Jess has a legit theory there.
I'm glad I'm right. So,
ding. All right.
Number 6?
Number 7.
7.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
I can't remember what number we're on.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. So number 7 is episode 40, Sunday in the Park with George with Tommy of Musical Theater MASH. So in my opinion, this is the best of the Sondheim episodes. We have 3 people with very different opinions of Sunday. Jess, I know it meant a lot to you when you first heard this piece. Andrew was sort of in the middle, and Tommy had his video essays on his channel explaining why he felt about Sunday the way that he did. And this episode prompted a great discussion about artists and their art, mental health. But what I loved about this episode was there was a really serious discussion about Stephen Sondheim as a person, and the range that he had from his justified confidence in his ability to his moments of crippling self-doubt. And because that was the episode that sort of humanized him and his work the most, especially when, as Tommy mentioned, this was the musical he made right after Merrily, when he came so close to quitting. I was like, I'm putting this on the list. And this was, I had this on the list potentially even before we got the news they passed away in November.
Yeah, that was a good episode. Yeah. And it felt important because it felt like I'm probably not going to get Tommy on the show again. Like, that was the vibe I had when it happened. So I was like, you got to make this one count. Because the only reason why we got Tommy on that show is someone was like, hey, you should have Musical Theater MASH, and he tagged him on the show and talk about Sunday. I was like, hey, if he's in, I'm in. And then he's like, I'm in. And then I was like, all right, we got my one shot here. Let's go.
Let's go for it. And honestly, it was if that was the only musical that you could get Tommy on to discuss, it was a great discussion for him to be on. It was a good episode. Plus, it also gave us the iconic, oh, I miss Mandy Patinkin, which always plays in my head now. Okay, episode number 6. So for the 6th episode, we have episode number 81, God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater, with Ethan from Sideways.
I like that one.
Yeah, that
was classic Andrew.
Episode 7 through 10, nothing. Episode 6, oh yes, the one that I liked.
I like that one. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, great. So I'm gonna get into this a little bit later, but I could tell that when Ethan made his debut, he's now on episode 3 with you guys, I believe. He understood the vibe of the show immediately, which is always nice when you have guests on the show. And when I first listened to this episode, I remember kind of being worried at first because at first, it seemed like no one quite knew what to make of God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater, and I thought, oh no, they're gonna hate this. But as the episode went on, it was clear that you treated this piece with respect, as James Earl Jones would want you to. Everyone deserves love, everyone deserves respect. And I know a lot of fans, me included, were really grateful for this episode because when we all think of Howard Ashman's body of work, you just mostly think of his Disney stuff and you think of Little Shop of Horrors. But then you have this early obscure show that really reminds you what a genius he is. And for me, when I listened to the cast recording after the episode, it was like hearing his work for the first time, which was wonderful. And like, also, what the hell else are you going to listen to? Smile? I don't think so.
I like Smile. I don't hate Smile. I mean, I love Disneyland from Smile. I haven't really dove that far into it, but I like Disneyland enough to say that I probably would like the rest of it.
Gotcha. The only thing I know about Smile is just what I learned from the Howard Ashman documentary, which is on Disney Plus. Which, if you have access to Disney Plus, check that documentary out. It is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree, and I agree with you about Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think, our first episode when we were on BPN. I think that was our first like official, like, all right, we're transferred onto it. We're here. So we knew we wanted something big. And if you look at the thing, it was our first guest in a very long time. We had taken a big break from guests because we had some not so great experiences with some periods. So we took a break, and then he was our first, like, let's see if we can make this work again and see if we can still get this. And it was perfect.
What a breath of fresh air. Yeah.
It really reinvigorated the show into, okay, we can still do this. We're not just going through the motions of doing this every week. So I agree with you. This is a very seminal episode in how we develop, both in the BPN sense, the guest sense, and our attitude toward the show entire.
Yep.
Does that mean we're halfway through the list already?
We're halfway through already, yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, number 5 on our list is a recent one, and we have I'm just going to check my list. Oh, we have one other recent one in here.
Okay.
So number 5 is episode 164, Bat Boy with Brent Black, aka Rental Floss. All right.
Ah, yes. This one. The one that's longer than the show.
Hey, Bree did a good job cutting it. Andrew probably thinks that, but yeah, that was, I think, a 2-hour recording that she cut down to like an hour 30.
This is one of this would be, I haven't listened to the rest of Brent's episodes in a long time, but for an hour and a half, that would be one of his shorter ones, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Brent gives us a lot of material, which means he gives us a lot of good material, but it's a lot.
Yeah. Brent has never given us bad material. It's just we can't keep it all always.
When you talk about a show for 2 hours, eventually it's going to have to get cut down.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think this was the episode for me that really solidified why Brent is a great guest for this show, because it took a piece of musical theater with is it substantial cult following, I feel like is fair to say, or just cult following? Substantial cult following. Okay. And analyzed it not just for what it is, but also kind of for what it could be. And the great thing about Brent being a musical theater composer is we're made aware of all these tiny little details that escape our notice the first time around, but are fun to think about. Like, I remember I don't remember who brought this up, but there was the discussion of, if the West End were to mount this show for some reason, and I think I would like it over there, given like the West End stuff you covered on this show, how would the accents for it change, considering that Edgar speaks with a British accent in the American version and the standard version? And my personal favorite episode with Brent, side note, is the bonus episode where he went up against Jess in musical theater trivia, and the with cheese portion saved his ass. But if you want to listen to Brent's best episode in terms of like the ones that come out every week, it's this one. Just enough of a balance of ranting and structure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. This was a fun episode. Brent is always a joy to have on, and it's great when we agree with him. that is, you don't ever want to be on the wrong side of disagreeing with Brent.
It's a losing argument.
Yeah, he will talk you under that bus. See La La Land episode.
See La La Land episode, yeah. Okay, episode, we're in the number 4. We have the top 4 here.
Top 4, guys.
So for number 4 on the list, we have episode 163, which I was looking back and I was like, oh, episode number 5 is 164. Number 4 is 163. That's interesting.
Is that Dear Evan Hansen?
It's Dear Evan Hansen, yes.
That was a good night. That was a good night of recording.
That to be there, yeah. because I remember listening to the first time that you reviewed Dear Evan Hansen, the stage show, and it was on a long car ride, and I was thinking, wait, is that really what the show is about? Because the year before that, I sang It's Only Us at a Summer Theater showcase that I was in as like a solo number. So that was all I knew of the show, and it was a beautiful song. And then I thought, oh, but it wasn't until the two of you did the movie that I was shocked by the information revealed in the episode about the show's backstory, because Pasek and Paul knew what they created and they weren't allowed to stop it. And no, seriously, because when you talked about, what was it? Did they realize that when they were doing like the out of town trial in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what musical historians will think of Dear Evan Hansen when we're all dead and gone? That can only be told with time, but I can easily guess. And I think this episode will be referenced someday if people were to write scholarly articles or papers. I'm not even joking with that. And I also like how this broke down what was wrong with the movie on a technical level, and also offered an alternative for a movie with the same storyline, the Robin Williams movie that you suggested, Jess.
Fantastic. World's Greatest Dad. Watch that movie. That movie's
Yeah.
good.
I still have to see that. I still have to watch it, but
yeah, it's a little harder. I haven't watched it since Robin Williams died, though. I will say that. So it probably will hit differently now.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's already a tough watch, but
Yeah, it is. It is. Bobcat Goldthwait is. He makes very dark films.
I do want to watch it though.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
like Happiness. You'd like that one.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, this episode was the one that me and Andrew knew, like,
it was going to be big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went into it with the information because I don't know if you were watching us when we first started, but when our first Dear Evan Hansen episode hit, we got a lot of angry hate mail and angry comments, and
we still get some from the same people.
But
I wasn't on Twitter at the time, so I wasn't aware of that, but I remember like discussing that with the person that I was sitting in the car, and I was like, I think they might be right. And he was like, yeah, I think they might be right too. But with that episode probably came out, I'm trying to think of when I started listening to it. That was probably about 2018 when that episode came out.
December 2018, yeah.
Yeah, and Dear Evan Hansen had only been up for maybe about a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not saying that I agree with the people who were like attacking you guys for that, but I could see why they would be thinking that way at the time of like, oh, how dare you massacre our boy. But I think now, if they're not at least willing to listen, then that I have an issue with.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that media, a lot of younger people in their media think that their media reflects their personality, and if people dislike their media, that means you dislike them too.
Yeah.
And that is a problem in society as a whole. Fix that, world.
Society. You really want something that'll screw with your brain. Look up the concept of the spectacle of capitalism, and then you'll feel the impending sense of doom.
Oh boy, death
to
is just around the corner.
The Joker.
And then you're going to dance down some stairs.
All right, what are we on?
What are we on? 3?
Number 3.
Top 3.
I was about to say 4.
The top 3.
Top 3. Top 3.
Top
Okay.
3. The Triple Crown. Okay. So number 3 is episode 147, A Strange Loop with Cam Blackwell. I like this. Yeah. This episode filled in a lot of blanks for me and for a lot of listeners out there, because we previously only had like the original cast recording, the Wikipedia page, and then I only found like an accessible PDF of the book. It was up on like a library, legitimate website. I'm not bootlegging anything. Hi, Michael R. Jackson, if you're listening. This was a legitimate copy of the script.
Hi, Michael R. Jackson. I did bootleg it.
I think this was, I'm not going to lie, this was the episode that I was slightly worried about going into because, Jess and Andrew, you're not creators of color. And I was wondering if this review would still work even with bringing Cam on as a guest, because I think on another podcast, having him on, he could have easily been tokenized, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Which is always a concern when I have people of color on the podcast. I never want them to be like, come talk about the color purple. Come on. Talk about what you care about.
Yeah. But I think as soon as this episode started, I realized it was going to be okay because of the vibe that was going on as soon as you introduced the show. And just, you made sure that this was treated very seriously, and you made it clear from the beginning you didn't want this to be dismissive or as ignorant as other white podcast hosts who covered this. And that's why I appreciated how you listened to Cam explain the meaning of the song Inner White Girl, and you also made it very, very clear as to what the Black gay boys who chose to go on back to the Lord meant with that one lyric in particular.
Yeah.
But there was still humor in it with your encounter with Michael R. Jackson over Facebook, thanks to your cat, Tyler Perry's threatening comment that may or may not have been legitimate. And I do have to say, at the end of the episode, you mentioned, look up Cam on Instagram. His Cruella outfit was better than the entire Cruella movie. And I looked up that photo, and I have to say, that outfit was way better than the live action movie. And I didn't even see the film, but Cam is an excellent dresser. Wow.
Cam is a great actor too. One of the best. I've seen him perform. I got a chance to work with him recently, and he's fantastic. Cannot recommend that enough. Very, very talented person. Very, very good guest.
Yeah, that was a good episode. I remember that one.
I remember that, but the problem with like a lot of episodes, like I think we were like the first, like now a lot of people are talking about A Strange Loop, but I think we were the first one to be like talking about it and bring like other voices of color onto it. I know a lot of other people did talk about it, and I listened to it and had issues with it, but I don't know. It just felt very close to Detroit, and I wanted to not fuck it up.
Well, I also remember, it's funny that you bring about like how other people were talking about this. I remember when I was getting my theater degree, and the videos of it were the clips were just starting to come out, like the promo clips online, and I started doing research into it, especially after you two started like talking about it on Twitter. You hadn't done the episode yet, and so I was talking with some fellow students, and we were like, oh, what are some new shows that you're listening to? And I said, well, I'm listening to A Strange Loop. And the person looked at me and went, what's that? This was just after it had won the Pulitzer. And I was like, I'm in a theater program where people don't know what this musical is. Oh, God.
Well,
yeah. What can you do? Oh, well.
Let's go on to number two. Number two.
All right. So number 2 is episode 122, The Prom with Princess Weeks.
Oh,
that was
great.
Fantastic episode.
It was. This was an excellent episode because of the discussion about what can be lost in a movie musical adaptation if someone doesn't really understand the source material, which Andrew nailed. You nailed when you emphasized why it's important for the Broadway actors to start out as narcissistic assholes who grow and change over the course of the story instead of just being perfect and absolute angels out of the get-go. But on the other hand, it showed how movie musicals adaptations that aren't the best can also have their own great moments, like Harry Washington and her monologue that she gives to Ariana DeBose in the movie. And also, this is what I was referring to earlier with Ethan. With Princess's debut episode, it was the first time in a long time my sides hurt from laughing while listening. Because again, Princess understood the vibe of the podcast right away. And that's what makes for great guests like Princess, Brent, Ethan, Grace Aki, Emily Clark. The list goes on and on and on.
But you know what? Only Princess and Ethan made it on, and Brent made it onto the list. So,
well, we don't know.
Okay. To be fair, I had a lot of episodes that I was debating. Waitress with Grace was on there. La Cage aux Folles was on there. It's like you had me like, and it's, I just want to be clear, making this episode, if there's a certain guest who didn't make it on here, that is not a reflection of my feelings towards that guest. I love Grace Aki. I practically
she hates them all equally.
Yeah, you guys just didn't put in the effort.
Didn't try hard enough.
Emily Clark, musical theater historian, you didn't try at all.
No, well, obviously, Grace is wonderful. Emily is great. The Prom is just a hard episode to beat.
Very good episode.
Yeah, it's a hard episode.
I remember
to beat.
really liking doing that one.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what number 1 is because you've gone through a lot of great ones here.
Okay, so I'm just gonna. It's a good episode. This episode is 2 words. You're gonna hear the first word and you're gonna go what? But then you're gonna hear the second word and it's gonna all make sense. Okay. So,
I think I know what it is now.
Oh no.
Just me. Okay, so the top episode of Musicals with Cheese, in the Keeper of the Cheese's opinion, is episode 121, The Week Before Princess, Rent Revisited with Kelly Lynn Hayes. Yeah.
All right.
So I chose this episode because for me, this was the tectonic shift for the show.
Okay.
Because you had a guest who gave one of your earliest episodes legitimate critiques. And Kelly added some great in-depth analysis about Rent's legacy and why we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss it. And you gave them the space to make their case. And it also sparked a great conversation about how beloved shows aren't necessarily set in stone, which I think sometimes we often forget in theater. We always say it's a living, breathing art form, but we kind of lose sight of that a little bit. And it can be even made better when regional playhouses, or any playhouse for that matter, gets their chance to update the script and even edit a little bit. Like I'm thinking about how they portrayed is it in Out Tonight where I think Rent Live, they made her it kind of made her more tragic when she was dancing as opposed to her being really happy?
It was the Hope Mill Playhouse where they
Hope Mill
made it that
Playhouse.
she was like tripping on drugs while that was going on.
Yeah, but even with the back and forth that you had, there was still a lot of fun going on. And I remember thinking, oh my God, they've really grown and they're going to make stuff that's even better. So for this reason, Rent Redo is number one.
And then the next week we make so many stupid jokes and we go back to we're back on our bullshit in the prom episode.
Well, like I was saying, I wanted a list that had equal amounts of, legitimate analysis and equal instances of all of you having fun, but it also being a great time.
Hell yeah. I see that as a good judgment. I love Kelly. They're wonderful. I would have them back on as soon as I figure out our schedule. Thanks, Andrew.
Wait, what's wrong with our schedule?
I don't know. There's like a month where nothing happened for some reason or another.
Oh man, I don't think I ever explained that, and I'm not sure I should at this point.
You never explained it, so let's never do it.
No, but I remember because I was subscribed to your YouTube channel at the time, back when you were uploading the episodes just to YouTube, and I got the notification months later and I was like, oh, they're back. Okay. And I just went back to listening like nothing happened. But
yeah, that's how I was like, where I was like, Andrew, let's do this. And he's like, I'm done for 5 months. All right. And then we came back monthly or weekly and never stopped.
I think that was Was that with what episode did you come back with? It was like around the time you did 21 Jump Street. Then I know
Twisted was our first episode back. We recorded as one of the video episodes, and then our first one recorded for it to be a podcast proper was Little Shop of Horrors, the original.
Oh yeah. Before you did the redo. Okay, so that's the episodes, and now we're getting into my wheelhouse. Let's talk about the best cheese ratings of all time.
Alrighty, let's speed run these cheese ratings. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in the order of the spreadsheet. So, Jess, first up, your best cheese rating is from episode 126 when you covered both versions of the Wild Party. For Lippa, you gave it, quote, a party cheese platter, but cheaply made, full of cheeses I like, and all of them are good but badly made. And for Laquiza, you gave it a fancy cheese assortment, but of cheeses I don't like that are produced way better, which I felt encapsulated why both of these musicals are so different. I was like, you know what? That's good.
I remember that was probably one of my favorite episodes we've ever done, because I remember being like, no one else has done this. Let's do this right now and be the first, Andrew. It'll take a lot of work, but we should do it.
Yeah, it came out pretty well.
I'm pretty happy with that episode.
Also, give Toni Collette a movie musical now. Anyway. All right, Andrew, since you're next up on the spreadsheet, your best cheese rating of all time is from episode number 98 for We Will Rock You, and that is the only context We Will Rock You will be on this list. So, Andrew, your cheese rating is, and I quote, if someone took regular cheddar cheese that was pretty good and they threw it in a dumpster and let it get moldy, and they took it out and said, yeah, you want to have some of this cheddar cheese? I know how much you love cheddar cheese. Isn't cheddar cheese delicious? And I go, wow, that cheese looks moldy and like it's been in the garbage.
Andrew, why do you get to be so goddamn funny?
Look,
excellent.
I think that's pretty good. I mean, you like Queen music? You like Queen music when it's bad?
Yeah, it was descriptive and perfect to T. All right, so Bree, skipping around a little bit. Your best cheese rating is from episode 124 when you covered Fame. You gave the musical, quote, vegan almond cream cheese sitting in my fridge for 2 months that I haven't tried and never will, which is how I also feel about Fame.
I don't remember that episode. Or that show.
Perfect cheese rating. Oh, right.
Yeah. I might watch the TV show with Debbie Allen, though, at some point, just because. Let's check it out. Okay, so next, the best from the guests is episode number 82 with Chess and it's from Brent, where he gave it Stinking Bishop. I just like the pun, and I laughed when I read it, so I put it down there.
He thought of that all night.
Yeah.
literally.
Wrote it.
Awesome.
He had 4 different drafts of it. Thought of different. Yeah, he worked
hang on,
hard.
How
on
do I
it.
deliver this?
Do I do Stinking Bishop or Stinking Bishop? Come on.
Bishop, yeah.
It's actually
sounds
little known fact. Every episode with Brent is fully scripted.
Okay, and the best cheese rating of overall of all time isn't from one of the official episodes. It is
Okay.
from one of the live streams. The best
Oh,
cheese
no.
rating of overall goes to Jess's mom, Mama McAnally, for the Grinch when they gave it a cheese rating of blue cheese because they blew it. Because that made that whole terrible special well worth it for that one cheese rating alone. I laughed my ass off when I heard it, and I was like, that is going on the list.
Oh, that was such
I
a blast.
love it.
I'm glad my mother made
Uh.
it onto this list. She will be very happy.
She's on it twice, but for what other one I can't recall off the top of my head right now.
Oh,
Oh, for the
God.
Tonys. For the Tonys, when you covered this year's Tony
Oh yeah,
season.
that was fun too.
Yep.
That was great.
What was her rating for the Tonys?
I don't think she
Oh.
gave one. I think she just kind of chimed in every now and then.
No.
Okay.
No, she did. Do you want me to
Oh.
pull it up on Sheets right now? I have my Google up.
Okay, go for it. I don't remember any of this. The
I think
Tonys
we
is
might
a
have
bit of a
blacked
blur.
out. We might have blacked out that night.
That was
Yeah.
a bit. The sad part is I don't remember any of Annie Live, and I don't think I drank on Annie Live. I think I was just exhausted.
Oh, Jess.
I remember
I was
none
a
of
little
it.
sad that I had to miss Annie Live.
I'm
honestly.
sad you had to miss Annie Live too, because I would have remembered it if you were there. Because I
Okay.
just have 2 professional gentlemen on Annie Live with me, and it was Brent and Ethan. So it's like these 2 professional gentlemen, and me just like, man, Annie sucks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for the Tonys, your mother gave it 2 cheese ratings. She gave it Limburgers, and she also gave it peppermint cheese. Didn't say
No
why.
justification. All
That
right,
was-
good job,
that was
Mom.
just it.
Bare minimum,
Right.
you did it.
Mhm.
Juliet, thank you for continuing to be the best cheesekeeper anyone could ever ask
Yes.
for. I am
Oh,
very
my
grateful
pleasure.
for you.
Thank you.
Promote your wonderful content for the world. I'll let you decide which ones you want to promote.
Thank you. So I am on Twitter and on Instagram if you want to follow me there. Instagram, Juliet Antonio. Twitter, Juliet Antonio 9. I am the co-host of 3 podcasts. The first one is My Dad Listens to This. You can find it on YouTube, where we review albums in his music collection. The second one is Where's the Director, where my friend Aaron and I discuss existentialism in musicals. Our latest episode is Fiddler on the Roof. That is also on YouTube. And my third podcast is Burn Victims on Twitch, where my friends Mills, Cam, and Jaden and I just talk about whatever's been going on that week. And when I'm not podcasting, I am also a scriptwriter for the wonderful voice actor Darian Audio on YouTube. You can find all of my scripts there on his channel. He is wonderful to work for, and I'll probably be writing another script for him soon. So yeah, that's all my stuff.
So much great
Excellent.
stuff.
Thank you.
you for doing this, Juliet. This is a lot of
Yes,
fun.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to do this for you every week. I'm glad I can contribute.
We love it. I love looking at that list because sometimes I forget it, and Andrew will sometimes just say cheddar 4 weeks in a row, and I won't even notice.
Look, I've gone out of my way to never use cheddar again.
Have you though?
I have.
I'm looking at this list. But I appreciate you doing it consciously. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. This was a great night. Juliet, thank you for your time tonight. And we'll see you
Having me.
next time on Musicals with Cheese. Have a happy new year. I think this is our
Happy
last
New
thing we're
Year.
posting this year.
Bye.
So enjoy.
Aw,
See you in
bye.
2022, guys.